Bonjour tout le monde. Alors, me voici. Here I am, ready to show you how to do some research. Some of you, at times, don't understand at least one aspect of the research process, which leads to papers where there's a lot of plagiarism, either because you didn't know how to even begin and develop the paper in the right way, or you didn't know how to use the proper guidelines for citing other people and other people's facts and setting out in your paper a place where about 95% is you, and then maybe 5% cited information or footnotes or parentheses with page numbers showing where you got your information from, which is called your references, your referencing, your documentation. So whatever it is, let's conquer it by figuring out how to do the whole research. I start out on ccbcmd.edu. Current students, I go down the list of different online resources that I have as a currently enrolled student, and I click on libraries. With your CCBC student card, you can go to one of the 3 libraries, or you can log into my library. You can't log in if you're not a student, but you're all students. If you need to retrieve your CCBC username or reset your password, you go here. But most of you will not have a problem. Let me show you how to begin to research when it comes time to actually retrieving information, either by taking a book out from the library or getting an ebook through the online resources or pulling up information right in the database. That's when you're going to have to give your password as a CCB student, your CCBC sign in, and you use your student number. Here we are though. Look at the library. It has 3 major entries for you. You can either go up here to research, and then you have the classic catalog of books, ebooks, DVD, dictionaries, or you can just start right away with search all article databases, journals, or you can go to ebooks, or you can go right down here to research guides. And here is Countries and Cultures. This was developed by Gretchen Wright, a librarian at CCBC, with you and your cultural paper 1 in mind. And so you click Countries and Cultures. But we can find this Countries and Cultures here as well, in the middle. You've got your Getting Started, your Books and Media, and you can do keyword, title, or author. You'll probably use different combinations of keywords, and then you have article databases. Oh, so many databases to choose from. If you are doing a project, if you've chosen the country, whatever country from the French-speaking world, but your 2 aspects are maybe architecture and art, you may think about being very creative, coming at your research both through the Countries and Cultures databases and using Art Store and different types of art databases. You've got research guides. Oh, here we are again, Countries and Cultures. And you can even go down here, Books and Media, Articles and Research Databases, and Research Guides. Ooh, and Citation Help. I recommend MLA. Some of you like APA and some of you like Chicago. Now, if you're doing MLA, you click MLA, and this, there's so many different ways to go about this too. You can either follow, take whatever book or article it is and follow this and do it yourself. Or in most cases, when you're doing online work, you can find a lot of the references in all 3 formats at the bottom. I'll show you that later. And once again, you've got research guides, Countries and Cultures. But before you even begin, let's remember one thing. This is your paper. Research is about you putting together the fact or the information or the article that strikes you as important. Someone else will look at the same database and the same topic, and they'll look at different aspects. What strikes you as important, and of course you use your research as an anchor, fact, but most of this is you talking. You. Not you paraphrasing others or you copying what others have said. I have no inclination of reading the dictionary or reading the encyclopedia. I want to read about you and your perspective. If you have a little bit of hesitation about this, go to how do I? How do I find a book? How do I find articles? How do I get a library card? How do I cite? Ooh, yet another. Oh, here you have how do I cite? You have all this information about how to cite. Choose a blue tab to select a citation style. How do I use MLA? How do I use APA? Oh my gosh, I wish I had had this when I was your age. Oh, my life would have been so much easier. My generation, we had to go to the library, we had to find a book about MLA, we had to take it out, and then we had to go through and do everything manually. And there's many parts of this online library. You can find Ask Us Now. This is to get help 24/7. You've got librarians from around the world who are ready to help you with your questions. So, oh yes, what did I want to show you? Okay, there's a bit about plagiarism, but I think you can avoid plagiarism if you just remember that how do I do research? How do I do research? How do I write a paper? The research begins actually with you. Open up your mind. What do you know already? What is the purpose of your research? Well, some of that purpose is already kind of spelled out for you. You don't really have to develop your own very original working thesis or main argument. This paper kind of spoon feeds you that. Your argument is essentially explaining why you would like to visit a Francophone country. I have people explain why they ultimately would not like to visit a Francophone country, and that can make for an interesting, a little more ironic paper topic. The whole point of this paper is, why you want to visit. And as you articulate why, you'll be talking about two different aspects of one topic that really fascinates you. Now, that topic that fascinates you, you probably know it already. This takes us to the research. What is your topic? What you already know about the topic. What you already know, is that architecture, for example, in Paris is really worth visiting in real life. And so you want to write about what you know already, what kind of buildings you know about. And as you write about the buildings, if you really listen to yourself and look at the words in front of the page, you will humbly realize, as many times as I've gazed at the, Tour Eiffel, or as many times as I've admired, Montmartre or whatever building, I really need to know a little bit more, and I really don't know much else. So then you start kind of writing about what you want to know, what kind of questions you have. And the more you write, the better your research will be. Now, as you go to do research, there's another part, this number 4, evaluate your information. Does the information answer your original questions? Is the information accurate? I think you don't have to worry about credibility so long as you are in the password-protected part of the online library. If you're out on the web, where you could be reading the website of a madman and not realizing it, you have to be really careful. Is this a credible author? Do they have a PhD in their field or a master's? Have they done graduate work in this field? Have they traveled to this country? Do they speak this language? Or do they have just is this a travel website put together by an enthusiastic tourist who may really love France, but may not really understand France the way someone who's lived there for 10 years has? I've had students write papers in the past based on websites that were put together, based on other websites that were put together, based on other websites put together, and it all went back to some tourist who wrote a food blog, and their experience of French cuisine was basically what they saw in their hotel. So you want some good research. So let's go to articles and research databases. General purpose is good too. Credo is great, especially if you're looking at a topic like Art Nouveau, for example, or architecture. And then going down to cultures and diversities, or your country, you have global road warrior, countries links, Britannica country comparison. It's really powerful. I'm going to go back. I'm going to go to your, let me see, articles, databases. Let's just go to research guides. Let's play it safe. Countries and cultures. And here you are with books or articles or websites. Now, for example, my interest may be Mali. Why am I interested in Mali? It's because one time when I was doing research in Rutard, this is a travel guide. This is in the World Wide Web, and I know it's credible because I know people who write for this, and I see them disappear for half a year and come back 6 months later, having done nothing but travel, write for 6 months. So I know it's credible. And I was really fascinated as I went to Mali to find information. I saw this. Pour des raisons de sécurité, le ministère des Affaires étrangères déconseille de se rendre au Mali, dans quelque région que ce soit, et tout particulièrement au nord de la ligne Diédéni, Marcala, Mopti, Sévaré, Bankas. And because I can't visit it, it makes me want to visit Mali. Why? I wish I could go. And I also saw a book that was promoted by a friend of mine, Un Algérien à Tombouctou, Récit de voyage. And they start, if you would like to go to the Sahara, to Timbuktu, totally in full security, without being kidnapped or taken away, without meeting French and American militia, without crossing paths with soldiers from Boko Haram, without crossing, people from Mali and Nigeria. Maybe you should just read this book, since it's not a very safe place to go right now. So now I'm even more fascinated. Perhaps I can find this book or a similar book written about being in Timbuktu. This is a book by an Algerian. The best paper you can write is a paper where you actually use printed book, a book that someone sweat blood and tears to write. But I can also look into Mali, and all the time I should be writing about what I know about Mali, why I'm fascinated. Another reason I'm interested in visiting Mali is I know that at the Cannes Film Festival this year there was a beautiful documentary about Mali that I want to see. So here I am, I'm gathering momentum towards my paper in which I talk about how, although this is a country that I cannot visit, I want to visit, and I'm doing research to show why, in spite of all the violence that has gone on in Mali for the past 3 years or so, it's such a wonderful culture. And I would like to think, I think I know, that as I do research, I'm probably going to find out about different festivals, different artists who are working very hard to put peace and solidarity between different people on the forefront instead of in the background of all this violence. And I can do research on Mali using the CIA fact book, using newspapers of the world to see what people are writing. I can do research, I can look at the U.S. State Department and think about their perspective. I can maybe try to do research with French, looking at least at the titles of French. I can do research using articles, that maybe by journalists who've taken road trips. I can do the Britannica country comparison. For example, maybe I'll compare Mali with a country right next to it. And, I can even compare France and Mali. It's so interesting to think, how do you view the world if you're speaking French in France? And how do you view the world if you're speaking French in Mali? And of course, I probably have another native tongue if I live in Mali. But, as you look here, official name, République du Mali. Président Ibrahim Boubacar Keïta. He's often referred to as IBK. The capital is Bamako. Official language is French. That means all business is conducted in French. All trade, all education. But I see it's not an easy country to live in. Life expectancy is 50, as opposed to in France, 84. And I see that the literacy rate is 31% for men and 16% for women. Now, someone may look at that as a very condemning figure. They'll say, wow, this country really needs reform and they need better education, and they may want to write about education. Another may look at that and say, well, I certainly can imagine that this is a country where the oral culture is going to be so much more vibrant. If there's not a lot of writers, there's certainly a lot of music and oral traditions that I may research. Basically, every one of you is going to look at all of these different facts, all of these different resources, timelines, World Atlas, differently, which is why you need to spend time taking notes to kind of articulate your own perspective and your own reasoning as you're reasoning out, and then showing people why you want to go to this country. And you're also writing from your own perspective and the way you look at facts. The choice of your facts is also a reflection of you as a researcher. So you do want to treat these different facts and figures and data that you're pulling up with respect. You can be proud that you're citing. I always say you cite parts of articles where you love how they articulate a point or an idea, and you say, honestly, I couldn't do a better job myself. But as you're taking notes, as you're doing research and taking notes, you're just writing so much that it's about you taking notes. And you may note the page numbers or exactly where you pulled some information is, so that if you have a fact or figure, you can give credit to that fact and figure through a footnote if you're using MLA, or by giving a paragraph, parentheses with a page number. Wait, I think I'm confusing my MLA and my Chicago. One of them allows footnotes, and the other one requires you not to do footnotes, but rather to use parentheses, whatever. You figure that out. The point is, you're developing your own ideas as you're doing research, and when it comes to doing the citations, you're following the citation information, because as you can see, it's so easy to forget how to cite. I've written a dissertation in which I cited, I don't know, maybe 100 sources, and I have to still go back to these citation helps, because this kind of stuff you forget. Oh, so many good resources. So this is the MLA style. So you want to look at how to put together your bibliography. And of course, these days, they show you how to do a YouTube. They show you how to do a sound recording. They show you how to do an interview. They show you how to talk about a database. They show you how to talk about journal articles. They show you everything. It used to be everything was books. Now everything is online magazines. They show you how to do that. Okay, is there something else I want to show you? Okay, that's countries and cultures. Global World Warriors, great. That's it. Mali. Voila. Here I can get lots of information. I really want your two required sources to come from within the firewall of the password-protected CCBC md.edu libraries. And if after you have developed your research, you want to kind of go online, for example, maybe I would go into EMDB and I could look for Timbuktu. There it is, 2014. And then I could watch a look at the brief occupation of Timbuktu by militant Islamic rebels. So this is telling about the recent crisis in Mali. I could do something. I could learn about the Abdurrahman Sissako and Kesental and the different stars. I could go back and try to find some articles written about them, some reviews. There's a Timbuktu done in 1959. This is a different time period. This is done even before Algeria has won its independence. In 1940, Colonel Dufour arrives in Timbuktu with his wife to take over the French garrison. This garrison is threatened by a Tuareg uprising, supposedly inspired by Mohamed Adjani, a holy man. So, anyway, there are so many different ways you can study the different countries of the world. If I were you, I would be writing about Mali, and I would be going back into the history of the great empires and trade routes, and then tomorrow I may feel like researching Cameroon, and the next day Haiti. The point is, you can do that. You can take that topic that's inside you and you can expand it through research. Spend time being inspired as you look through the different articles and resources. Spend time reading, even just a little chapter of a book. And once you've done the good research, this next little tab, how do I write a paper, really just comes together. If you've done very good research and taken a lot of notes in your own words, when it comes time to writing the paper, it pretty much will tell you what you were going to do anyways. Just present your main idea and start lining up those really interesting observations you have that develop the momentum of your topic. Voilà. I hope that you enjoy this. Bon courage!